You've probably never thought twice about marigolds. Bright orange flowers, cheap at any nursery, planted along the edge of a garden bed almost as an afterthought. But gardeners have known something about marigolds for generations that most people never notice. Plant one next to a struggling vegetable patch, and somehow the whole garden does better. The real reason isn't luck, it's chemistry, and once you understand it, you'll never look at your own friend group the same way again. Here's what's actually happening underground. Marigold roots release natural compounds, including a substance called alpha-terthionyl that repel harmful soil pests like nematodes, tiny worm-like organisms that attack the roots of nearby plants. Farmers and researchers studying companion planting have found that tomatoes, peppers, and other vegetables planted near marigolds often show healthier root systems and better resistance to certain pests, simply because the marigold is quietly doing protective work beneath the soil without asking for anything in return. Notice what that means. The marigold isn't the showiest plant in the garden. It's not the tallest, the most productive, or the most fought over for sunlight, but it makes everything around it stronger just by existing nearby. Somewhere along the way, someone noticed this pattern in gardening and realized it described something deeply human. This is where the Marigold theory of friendship was born, a simple but powerful idea. In every social circle, there are marigold people and there are thorn people. A marigold friend is calm, warm, consistent. They don't create drama and they don't need constant reassurance to stay steady. When you're around them, you somehow feel a little more like your best self. You laugh easier, you worry less. You leave the conversation feeling lighter than when you walked in. A thorn friend does the opposite, not always through cruelty, sometimes through constant negativity, jealousy, competitiveness, or unpredictability. Being around a thorn friend often means walking on eggshells, second-guessing yourself, or leaving conversations feeling slightly smaller than before. Here's the twist most people miss. You've probably spent years evaluating your friendships based on history, loyalty, or shared memories. How long have we known each other? How much have we been through together? But the Marigold theory asks a completely different question. How do I actually feel during and after spending time with this person? Psychologists studying social contagion, the idea that emotions and behaviors spread between people almost like a mild infection, have found something remarkably similar to what gardeners noticed with marigolds. Spending time with calm, emotionally secure people tends to measurably lower your own stress responses. Spending time with chronically negative or volatile people tends to raise them, even if nothing dramatic happens during the interaction itself. Just like the marigold's chemical compounds working quietly underground, emotional tone spreads between people in ways you don't consciously register in the moment. Think about how often you've walked away from a hangout feeling drained without being able to explain exactly why. Nothing bad happened, no argument, no insult, but something about the interaction left you feeling worse instead of better. That's a thorn friend at work, not through malice necessarily, but through the emotional residue they leave behind. Now think about the opposite. A friend who, after a single phone call, somehow makes an entire stressful week feel more manageable. Nothing about your actual problems changed, but you feel calmer, steadier, more capable of handling what's ahead. That's the marigold effect, quietly working the exact same way alpha-terthionyl works underground, protecting you from stress you didn't even realize was building up. Here's where the theory becomes genuinely useful instead of just a nice metaphor. If you only evaluate friendships by history and loyalty, you can end up tolerating thorn friends for years simply because you've known them a long time. But if you start paying attention to how you actually feel during and after each relationship, you start noticing which people are quietly strengthening you and which ones are quietly draining you, the same way a gardener eventually notices which plants thrive near the marigold bed and which ones struggle no matter how much water and sunlight they get. This isn't about cutting people off dramatically or labeling anyone permanently a thorn. People go through hard seasons. Even a generally warm friend can be going through something that temporarily makes them harder to be around, just like even a healthy plant can struggle during a rough season of weather. The theory isn't a judgment. It's a pattern worth noticing over time, not a single bad day. But there's a second, quieter layer to this theory that most people skip entirely. You're not just supposed to find the marigolds in your life. You're supposed to try to become one. Ask yourself honestly, when people spend time with you, do they tend to leave feeling calmer or more anxious, lighter or heavier? You don't need to be the most exciting person in the room, the same way the marigold isn't the tallest or flashiest plant in the garden. You just need to be steady enough that people quietly grow better simply by being near you. That's the real reframe hiding inside this simple gardening observation. Your presence in someone else's life isn't neutral. It's either quietly protective or quietly corrosive, whether you intend it to be or not, the same way a plant's roots are always releasing something into the soil around it, whether anyone's watching or not. So the next time you walk past a bed of ordinary orange marigolds without a second glance, remember what they're actually doing beneath the surface. And then think about your own friend group. Who leaves you steadier? Who leaves you smaller? And which one of those two you're quietly being for the people around you? You've probably never thought twice about marigolds. Now you know they were never really about the garden at all. They were about who gets to grow and who quietly makes that growth possible.